Thank you very much for being here tonight to be a part of this process. Thank you very much to the candidates who are making the time to be here to answer the questions that are going to be offered by the audience, and very much to Wilkes University for making this facility available to us. Really makes it possible, and they've been great about doing that. This is the third candidate forum we've been involved in, and we're sponsored, and we're glad to do it. It's not what we do. We publish stories and print it online. That's our main thing. So if we have a couple of glitches here, please forgive us as we go along. The idea here is when it became apparent that the candidates were willing to do this, what came to mind for me was our editorial board. The candidates come in, we ask them questions, and then we form an opinion. And that's what we want to do here tonight. The audience, people in the audience can submit questions. There are index cards or pencils up here. I'll pass some more around later, or after I'm done speaking. And you can submit your questions. The candidates have a chance to answer those questions. Your opponents have a chance to respond in a set amount of time. They're going to be timed here, so they don't have so much time. There's a response back and forth. This isn't a debate. This is a chance to respond to questions. They have to be submitted to us. We're not going to take questions yelled from the audience, please. They have to be submitted. There are more questions that we can get through if we stay here till midnight. We want to be done within an hour and a half. I imagine we'll get to about 10, maybe 15 questions. They're all good questions. Some of them are similar. We're going to try to get through as many as we can. But no questions from the audience. We want this to be orderly. And so you can get the information you want about the candidates. Kevin Blom, thank you very much for being our moderator tonight. And I will come around and take any more questions if people have them. I'll pass cards around and I'll pick them up for you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Joe. It's so nice being on this side of the room instead of that side of the room. But good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this forum to elect the next mayor of the city of Wilkes-Barre. Indeed, the winner on November 8th will be the CEO of a very large corporation with hundreds of employees, with 44,000 stockholders, and a budget of $44 million. We will begin with opening statements. Each candidate will be given 2 minutes for an opening statement. When they're finished, we will begin asking questions in the order that a drawing was held just a little while ago. And Ms. Summers will go first, Ms. Cope second, and Mayor Leighton will be third in the first round. Then we'll go to Ms. Cope first in the second round, and so on, and we'll just keep going around. When we get to questions, they will have 90 seconds to respond to a question. Once they've answered the question, the other two candidates will have 30 seconds to comment and to have a little rebuttal. Representatives of the Times Leader, as Joe just said, are standing in the wings to take any questions that you may have. A lot of the questions that I'm reading right now are very similar. I mean, everybody seems to be concerned about the very same issues. And we ask that you hold your applause until the end of the evening, so that we can get enough, all the questions and answers possible here for the candidates. At the end of the night, I think that's going to be the appropriate time to show our appreciation for these three who cared enough to run and were courageous enough to put their name on the ballot, and apparently all three are ready to serve our city, and for that we're very grateful. So right now I will let you have a round of applause for these three wonderful people. So who are they? Betsy Summers, age 54, is a resident of Wilkes-Barre, and she is a Liberatarian nominee for the position of mayor of the city of Wilkes-Barre. She is a sales representative for a veterinary pharmaceutical company. She has an Associate of Arts degree and a major in equine science and a minor in business from Centenary College in New Jersey. She is single and the mother of one. Ms. Lisa Cope, age 45, a resident of Wilkes-Barre. She is the Republican nominee for mayor of the city of Wilkes-Barre. She is a supervisor at Lord & Taylor, a graduate of JR High School, and she attended Luzerne County Community College. She and her husband Dana are the parents of 2 children. Mayor Tom Leighton, 51 years of age, a resident of Wilkes-Barre, and Mayor is the Democratic nominee for mayor of the city of Wilkes-Barre. He is a realtor by profession and has served almost now 8 years as mayor. He is a graduate of Bishop Hoban High School and a graduate of King's College. He and his wife Betty are the parents of 3 children. It is my pleasure now, by lot, to call on Ms. Summers for her 2-minute opening statement.
Hello, I'm Betsy Summers, and I'm proud to be your candidate for the mayor of Wilkes-Barre. I want to thank all of you that are here this evening, in particular the Times leader for sponsoring this much-needed forum for the voters of this city. Thank you. I would also like to mention that I was the only candidate who called for a debate between the 3 contenders for this mayoral race. So I'm very happy to be here this evening to speak to you, the voters of this city. I'm a leader who believes in open government, high ethical standards, and truly understands the importance of involvement of the people. As your mayor, you will know what is going on in your government, and you will feel safe. Nothing corrupt will be going on under my watch, and your concerns will be heard and responded to. Tonight, you will probably hear Mr. Leighton bring up that he is the most experienced candidate up here. And you will also hear a lot about the condition Wilkes-Barre was in when the current administration inherited it. I urge you to remember that while there have been improvements in certain areas, there have been dismal disappointments in others. I urge you to remember that for 12 years prior to becoming mayor, Mr. Leighton served on city council. Mr. Mayor, I've heard you say that you inherited a failing city. However, as a city council member, you played a key role in that failure. And what about Wilkes-Barre today? Very few names have changed over the years since the mayor served on city council, bringing with him that wealth of experience. The one thing all of us know is that the connected are still connected, and the good old boy network is as strong as it has ever been. The same families hold the majority of jobs in City Hall, in our schools, and in our county. I ask the citizens of Wilkes-Barre, is this the future you want to see for yourselves and your sons and daughters? I hope not. You can never expect to bring good-paying jobs into this community as long as business people and entrepreneurs cannot compete on an even playing field.
And time is up. Ms. Koch.
I would like to thank, first of all, the Times leader at Wilkes University for hosting this forum tonight. The reason I am running for mayor is, as a lifelong resident of the city, I have watched our city take a turn for the worse. I feel right now we are at a crossroads, and it is imperative that we move in the right direction. There's a complete disconnect between the residents and the administration. I have heard their frustrations, and I, as a resident, also am frustrated. We have all watched our neighborhoods decay, and one of my top priorities will be to crack down on slum landlords that are destroying our neighborhoods. While it is true I am not a politician, if I do get elected, I never will become one. As mayor, I will end an era of nepotism and cronyism that has plagued our city for far too long. I will focus on providing adequate service to the residents of the cities so that we can once again be proud to call Wilkes-Barre our home. I promise to work diligently to cut wasteful spending and treat every dollar like the money is coming out of my own pocket, because as a city taxpayer, it is. My promise to the residents of Wilkes-Barre will be to provide an open, honest, and approachable government.
You can't hear it.
Thank you, Ms. Thank you, Ms. Koch. Mayor Leighton.
Good evening. I first want to acknowledge my family who's in attendance this evening. I'd also like to thank the Times leader for sponsoring tonight's debate and for Kevin Blum to be the moderator. I look forward to an energetic discussion of the future of our city, and I think the people of Wilkes-Barre deserve to hear our qualifications for such a high office and our plans to deliver a better future for all of us. I was born and raised in Wilkes-Barre. I went to school in Wilkes-Barre. I run a family-owned business in Wilkes-Barre, but most importantly, I've raised my family here in the city. Wilkes-Barre is my home. I have as much stake in its future as every other resident of this city who shares my vision. I never had a strong desire to be a politician. I was taught to work hard and never look at the clock, and to make a difference in your community for those around you. That is what led me to first run for city council, That is why I ran for mayor, and that is why I'm running to continue to have that honor of holding that office to serve you, the public. In 2003, I looked at where our city stood. I did not like where it was headed. I was not going to stand by and allow our community to deteriorate. From my seat on council, I challenged the previous administration to make the changes that we needed to make. But I realized that the only place where we have the greatest ability to make a difference is that as your mayor. It was not the best of times. In 2004, we faced an uncertain future, saddled by a $10.8 million unfunded debt with no credit rating. Wilkes-Barre was a city that no one would invest in, and many people had lost hope that we would ever rebuild. Today, the city is resurgent with a vibrant downtown, new businesses and jobs, new tax revenue, capital projects that have been completed, more police on your streets, and one of the most secure investment credit ratings possible in the Commonwealth. Our city has come a long way, but we have not finished our journey. This city can be great once again, and I want to continue the progress that we have achieved. I know that I am the right person to continue to lead this city. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Our first question goes to Ms. Summers, the Libertarian nominee for mayor. Ms. Summers, you have proposed cutting the city's earned income tax from 3% to 0.5%. That would eliminate $9 million from the city budget. And how would you make that up? Or are you prepared to cut over 20% from the budget of Wilkes-Barre? 30 seconds. You have 90 seconds.
One thing that people need to realize is our city income tax has chased so many working families out of this city. This is why we have all of these vacant homes. So, what do we do about this? What we need to do is we need to reduce the city income tax to draw working families back into our community. This will help with crime. It will help reduce that once we have more working families in this city and these vacant homes are filled. So, how do we do it? Do we bite the bullet, do it all at once, or do we do it in increments? But what we need to do is come up with a plan on a way to do this. So we go to the experts and find out the best way to do it. So maybe we come up with 2% income tax the first year, 1% the second year, 0.5% the third. But I'll tell you right now, there's departments in the city, in almost 300 positions there, that can be consolidated, and we can save money without cutting the essential services that we all want in our city. And we just need to look at this, and it can be done. I know we can do it. Thank you.
Ms. Cope, 30 seconds.
My idea on the 3% wage tax, I agree, it is high. I agree that the wage tax in the city of Wilkes-Barre is high. It is 3%. But if you just drastically reduce that, you're going to lose $9 million in revenue for the city of Wilkes-Barre. My proposal is to eliminate the wasteful spending, look into reducing salaries where applicable, and anything left will be refunded in the forms of tax cuts. Because if you just take $9 million in revenue and lose it, you're going to be required to borrow that money somewhere. Borrowing money means paying back interest.
Mayor Leighton.
Everything Ms. Summers said, we've already done in my administration. In 2004, we put a financial recovery plan in place. We reduced staffing at City Hall by 1/3. We had to cut the fire department. We did not have a choice. The only department that I increased was the police service, and that's because I listened to the public. I still did not hear how you would make up $9 million in the budget. We've cut all the wasteful spending. We had no credit rating when I took office. Today, we currently have the 5th highest credit rating in the state of Pennsylvania because of the cuts this administration made.
Our second question is for the Republican nominee, Ms. Lisa Cope. No.
So, if we do it in increments, we're only looking at $3 million that first year. Well, I'll tell you right now, in the city health department, there is 3 different health inspectors. First of all, what are we as a city doing in the health business? We have 2 hospitals in our community. We can help to use them. There's ways to cut money. $400,000 I could save just in that one department. I can do it with your help.
Our second question goes to Ms. Lisa Cope. Ms. Cope, you recently wrote in a letter to the Times-Leader that all applicants qualified for considered. And you said that I don't believe the term most qualified, that these people are usually someone's relative. How can we be fair if 20 people are qualified for 5 jobs? How about a lottery with the applicants present? Drop 20 names in a hat, the first 5 picked, go to work? The question is, if 20 are qualified, there are likely to be 6 or less that are most qualified and highly qualified. Shouldn't there be more thought and effort put into filling important positions in the city instead of putting them in a hat?
Well, my answer to that is that it was just a suggestion, and it was my way of making the point that if you do have 20 valid candidates for a job, and you automatically have 15 that are astronomical and well qualified for the job, I was talking about putting the last 1 to 2 people if they're on the same qualifications. And I see nothing wrong with, going back and drawing straws. I mean, if they're exactly equal.
Mayor Leighton.
Being the mayor of a city with a $45 million operating budget, $250 million balance sheet, you do not put names in a hat or draw straws. I surround myself with qualified, competent department heads. I allow them to do their job because I pick the most qualified, competent people. You see the results out there. The results are on the financial side. The results are on the brick and mortar. It takes a leader to make difficult decisions, and I believe my leadership has shown over the last 8 years.
Please hold your applause until we're done. Betsy Summers.
How do you guys like this pass the mic? Okay. First of all, the city needs to be run like a business. We not necessarily need to make a profit, but we need to be frugal. And we need to watch how we spend every cent. Well, when it comes to hiring people, you sit down just like any business would, and you pick the most qualified person. Businesses do it all the time. They narrow it down to one person. I'm sure we can manage to do that also.
Question for Mayor Leighton. Mayor, why should the taxpayers have to foot the bill for the cost and installation of security systems at the mayor's home and the residence of the former city administrator? And why wouldn't the administration require the former administrator to reimburse the city after he resigned his position?
Back in 2004, as I just previously discussed, we made extremely difficult decisions with the city's budget. We did a financial recovery plan, which called us to reduce staffing at City Hall, reduce staffing in the firehouses, close fire stations. I made a commitment to our governor then, Ed Rendell, who provided us with a financial team to put up the recovery plan in place. When we enacted that recovery plan, things went south. Council meetings became very volatile. The atmosphere was bad. Mr. Murphy at the time received a threat at his house when somebody tried to break in. We received verbal threats. We received threats to letters in the mail. And we received threats at our home. We had cars going by our home. We had cars going through the back of my home. We met with the city police department. We met with the state police. We did a thorough investigation. The recommendation was to have around-the-clock security. Would have been too costly. The next best thing was security systems. I have an obligation to protect my family, my children, and my staff. The reason why
Just pay for it.
I was threatened as the mayor, as was my city administrator. When the city administrator left city government, we received an estimate to have the system removed from his dwelling. The estimate was far higher than it was what the cost of the system was. That was a financial decision that I made based on what it would have cost to remove the system and repair the house as what the system would have actually worth.
Betsy Summers. Betsy Summers.
I think the question here is a question of ethics. What is ethical behavior and what is unethical behavior? The mayor certainly makes enough money to afford his own security system. J.J. system, especially one over $4,000, which must be solid gold.
Please hold your applause. Hey, all it does is take time away from the evening and reduce the number of questions that we're going to be able to ask these fine candidates. You may have your opinion, just there's no need to applaud, and then those on the other side applaud, and it doesn't accomplish anything. So please hold it so we can get as many questions asked as is possible. Thank you very much. Lisa?
Yeah, the security systems, in my opinion, is a matter of ethics. That's right. It's also a matter of just flat out stealing taxpayers' money. You and JJ are not entitled to those security systems. Everyone in this room knows, and if they don't, my husband is a Wilkes-Barre City police officer who has his life threatened on a daily basis. Anybody in the city who's been a victim of a crime or even lives in the city deserves that security system. I know you talked about the installation of the security system, but I have proof right here that there's more to it than that. The city is also paying for J.J. Murphy's monitoring fees, and I have proof right here.
Lisa, this next question is for you. Ms. Cope, are you currently on the civil service list to become a Wilkes-Barre City police officer? And should you be elected mayor, would you accept a position on the police force if your name came up on the civil service list?
In answer to that, yes. My name is on the civil service list. I took the test twice. I don't foresee, as Mr. Leighton says, there is no money to hire any police officers at the current time. So I really never considered that an issue. But would I take the job as a police officer if elected mayor? No, I absolutely wouldn't.
Mayor Leighton. Betsy Summers.
I think maybe there was a mistake in the question. And maybe it was meant that would Mrs. Cope take her name off of the list before the election so that there would be no confusion as to if she was offered a job if she doesn't attain her goal of and that's all I have to say.
The next question is for Mayor Leighton. Mayor Leighton, how do you respond to criticisms that you are a downtown mayor and that you neglect the city's neighborhoods?
When I ran for mayor in 2003, when I walked through the neighborhoods, most of the residents, a large percentage, said they wanted their downtown back. If you turn the clock backwards and you go back to 2003, our downtown was lit with construction lights. There was no business downtown. The town was empty at night. I made a commitment we would return to downtown as we once knew it. The downtown now generates new tax revenue over $700,000, which goes into the general fund that we spend citywide. The unfortunate part with being the mayor is we did not neglect the neighborhoods. We paved many miles of streets throughout the city of Wilkes-Barre. We renovated the Cole Street Park, a blighted park full of crime and vandalism, into a $15 million state-of-the-art facility that now entertains over 400,000 people a year. We put 4 new playgrounds in the city. The Iron Triangle Playground, which never had a playground in the history of the city. A new playground over at Kirby Park. We've done a tremendous amount of work throughout your neighborhoods and will continue to improve the neighborhoods. The job is far from being over. There's a lot of work to do, and we'll continue to do that work to make this city what it once was.
Betsy Summers.
Well, in 2003, that must have been the last time the mayor walked the streets. Because I'll tell you, it stinks. They're filthy, there's garbage, I'm out there all the time cleaning up, and we've lost so much in this city since then. I'm sorry, he hasn't been walking these neighborhoods to see these vacant, overgrown lots and vacant homes.
Question for Ms. Summers. Question for Ms. Summers. Do you think that having 2 opposition candidates running against an incumbent mayor is to his advantage? And if so, why did you file as an independent, as a Libertarian?
Well, everybody needs to realize that our state laws for fair and equal elections are not fair and equal. My rules are totally different, and so is every other independent and third-party candidate. So we need to gather signatures, 4 times the amount of signatures, just to be allowed on the ballot, and we don't participate in the state-funded primary system. So, wanting to run, I have every right to be here, the same as Mrs. Cope and Mr. Leighton. And I've been out here working for years. I ran for city council back in '98 on some of these same issues. So I've been involved a long time in community government here and trying to fight to make things better. Well, here's my opportunity, and I'm going to take it.
Lisa Cope. You can comment if you want. Mayor, give it now. Question for Lisa. We know that the city has progressed over the past 7 years. I would like to hear from each candidate about his or her plans for the city's future, including major projects or any changes for the status quo. I specifically need to know how you want to finance their plans. Added to that, the county recently allocated $2 million to help refurbish the train station tourist promotion visitor center. Your comments on that in light of the street closings and detours around the Sterling Hotel, could some of that have been used to demolish the Sterling Hotel? And how long will those, do you think, if you were elected mayor, would those detours and barricades be up? Lisa, would you like to begin? To repeat the question, we know the city has progressed over the last 7 years. I would like to hear from each candidate about his or her plans for the city's future, including major projects. And then there's a mention of county money being sent to the train station refurbishing instead of the Sterling Hotel and the detours around the hotel that currently exists.
I believe that the major projects for the city should be the revitalization of our neighborhoods, which are in deplorable condition. I don't believe that the city should be giving any money to the Hotel Sterling or City Vest. I don't think the city should be in the process of, or the business of acquiring properties. And if I were mayor, I would try to sue City Vest to get our $2 million back and get that back.
Mayor Leighton, 30 seconds.
The downtown is the heart of the city, and we maintain that. As I mentioned previously, we've done a lot of work in the neighborhoods. 184 streets have been paved, 5 bridges have been replaced, 1,400 catch basins have been repaired. We've done a lot of work in the neighborhoods. We'll continue to do a lot of work in the neighborhoods. As far as downtown goes, it's home to 15,000 employees, Monday through Friday, who contribute to our tax base. We maintain the city citywide, and we'll continue to do that over the next 4 years.
Betsy Summers.
Most of you have a blue piece of paper in front of you. There's the start of my plans for the future of Wilkes-Barre. There's my visions. First thing I would do would be I would cut the mayor's pay by $10,000, and I would eliminate the mayor's pension. That's something as mayor that I can do. I don't, as a libertarian, I don't feel any elected official should be on the backs of the working people for the rest of their lives. It's just wrong, and then I'd go after city council.
What you failed to mention is a part-time mayor for $70,000. There's no way the mayor of the city can be a part-time job. It's a full-time job. The reason is the flood scare that we had back in September. You work around the clock. It's a very demanding job, and you need to be there at all hours.
This question is for Mayor Leighton. Would you be in favor of eliminating the business improvement district and allowing the businesses to keep the 2.5% fee they currently are paying for services, the services that their taxes should pay for?
The business improvement district is a very popular bid in other communities. That's enacted by the downtown merchants. They came to city council to start the bid program, and they were assessed that. I believe the vote by the business owners was 97% to 3% in favor of having the bid. The downtown merchants came to city council and asked that that be enacted. It's been a very successful program, and that's why you see the streets in downtown Wilkes-Barre clean, because the business owners actually paid for that at their request.
I was so busy writing down my rebuttal, I didn't hear the question. So I just want to tell you, it's not $70,000 for a part-time job. $70,000 the first year where I'm working full-time as your mayor, round the clock, and then I would like to, the next year less, because more things would be better. Let's have our city run like a business. Let's get a professional city administrator. Then eliminate all benefits for the mayor, all health benefits for the mayor, along with the pension, and why not have a mayor that makes $20,000 a year? What's wrong with that?
Ms. Coe, on the business improvement district. Would you be in favor of eliminating the business improvement district and allowing the businesses to keep the 2.5% fee they currently are paying for services that their taxes should pay for?
Yes, I would definitely be in favor of letting them out of the business district, because the businesses I spoke with downtown don't feel they are getting their 2.5% in taxes they are paying. I know there was an incident, I spoke with some businesses downtown, they are supposed to be getting 2 been police officers at any given time, and this is not patrolmen on duty. And I've heard from numerous businesses that they are not getting the services that they are supposed to be entitled to based on this tax rate.
I need to emphasize, the city does not run the bid program. The bid program is run by the DBA, the Downtown Business Association, in conjunction with the city. The city supports it, but it's run by the Downtown Business Association. They're the sponsors of the bid program. They came to the city. The city did not enact this tax. The Downtown Business Association voted on it. It was 97% to 3% in favor of it. So I want everybody here to realize the city did not enact this bid tax. We have nothing to do with it.
Question for Betsy Summers. Ms. Summers, what are you going to do about the absentee landlords who have no respect for our city and continue to allow our properties to erode? I think they meant their properties to erode.
It is a great concern. I mean, I have lousy landlords on my street, so I know what we're all living with. One of the things that came up was that in part of this landlord program is that repeat calls by the police to certain addresses were going to be tracked, and landlords were going to be fined. I would like to work closely. I've spoken to Sally Healy about this, about neighborhood impact teams, and working with the health inspector and the building inspector, and getting these things working together as a community to get these properties cleaned up, go after these landlords, fine them, make sure that they are responsible.
Lisa, 30 seconds.
My answer to the absentee landlords is I believe they need a business license for some of the properties they own. What I would do is I would pull their business license, and if any improvements or anything the city has to do to these properties, I would lien on their property and implement fines on the owners.
Mayor Leighton.
Everything my opponents said, we've already done. We've incorporated the 3 strikes law, 3 strikes, you're out. We've also incorporated a landlord law where they need to have a property manager if they live outside the city area. In 2012, there's going to be a new state law that allows the city to work in conjunction with our Luzerne County courts to go after property owners, not only to put the liens against the property that's in violation, but against their personal assets. I plan on meeting with the judges in January when the 6 new judges takes office to implement this new law.
Mayor, there have been 5 disasters in the last 8 years. Let's say near disasters. Please tell us how you will prepare, and this is for all the candidates, please tell us how you will prepare for a disaster on day 1.
Well, all I heard throughout the last disaster was the city was not prepared. There's been nothing furthest from the truth. We have an emergency plan in place. It's a national emergency plan that we utilize. We started meeting on Monday evening knowing that we're going to have adverse weather conditions at the end of the week. We were prepared. It started on Tuesday night, early Wednesday morning for us, down on the Barney Street Bridge in the Solomon Creek area where we had to evacuate people in the south section of the city of Wilkes-Barre. We were in City Hall Wednesday morning at 8 a.m. knowing that we had troubles ahead. We met with a large group of people on Wednesday evening, made them aware of our plan. We enacted our plan and it was very successful. That was a very stressful time, not only for the city administration, but for all of our residents. We had the lives of 20,000 people in our hands. We made sure that we gave them plenty of notice and time to evacuate from their property, take their personal property that they had to take, and to move to higher ground. I can't say enough about my staff, my department heads. They knew their role well, and they performed well.
Many things did go very well during that time of crisis. I was up filling sandbags, but there was also some problems. And at the district meeting at Miners Mills, a lot of them came forward. Miners Mills was flooded because the storm gate wasn't closed. What we need is a checklist to keep track of all these different areas, each different thing. Make sure these streams are cleaned out, they're filled with debris, make sure everything is there needed to close these gates.
Mayor, on rebuttal. Lisa, Ms. Coe.
One thing I will agree with is the flooding. I mean, it did go well. The emergency.
Can I hear you? Gotta read from her notes.
I would say that in the emergency flooding, the process did go well. One thing I would expect is the staff to also work with me on making any problems, fixing them. One thing that needs to be done is we need to maintain our flood system, the gates, and make sure that everything's in working order. And it's sad when some of your DPW workers have no idea of what's up on Brookside or near the flooding up there, and they don't even know if there are floodgates or if they're in working condition.
Mayor Leighton, on rebuttal.
What you just heard is rumors that we heard throughout the flood disaster. The gates were closed, they were properly monitored, they were properly operating. It was rumors. People forget we had a historic river crest, 43 feet. You speak to the people in Brookside, people that know how the floodgates work, and they were completely satisfied. It was the people that do not know the information that were the unsatisfied people that spread the rumors. Everything was done properly, and it will continue to be done properly. The gates are checked twice a year, and they'll continue to be checked twice a year. Our DPW workers did know what to do.
Question for Ms. Summers. And I'm trying to combine some questions that are similar. Let me bring up once again the Sterling Hotel, the detours and ribbon around the Sterling Hotel because of its decaying condition. That the county allocated $2 million for refurbishing of the train station bordered on Wilkes-Barre Boulevard and Market Street, on East Market Street, for a visitor center. Yet on West Market Street, the Sterling seems to be, I think the questioner would like some of that $2 million to have been used to raise the Hotel Sterling.
Well, first of all, are we sure that the Hotel Sterling needs to come down? If it were really going to fall down, wouldn't we need a little bit more space than one lane around it? And can we actually believe, okay, when the Far Hall in the Heights needed a $150,000 roof, and when to fix the fountain on the square is going to cost $220,000, how can we believe that the Sterling is ready to crumble? How do we know that? So, I would like to know that first. I would love to see the train station fixed up. It's been sitting there for years now, and I'm afraid it's going to fall into the same condition that the Sterling has fallen into. That roof, in the 2010 budget, it says that roof was fixed. Well, I'll tell you, if any of you have seen the pictures of that roof, it was not fixed. Those big holes. When you want to secure a building, what's the first thing you do? You fix the roof.
Lisa Coe.
First of all, I don't think that the city should be giving City Vest any money to do anything with the Hotel Sterling. The city is not in the business of selling properties or refurbishing properties. That's what a realtor does. And according to an ad from our own city's website, the city, to date, with the city's assistance, City Vest has secured the property, repaired the roof, and restored electrical power. Then, like everyone else said, why is it in a deteriorating condition? And we put, like she said, one lane around it in the event of it crumbling down. They said on a Sunday it was going to crumble down, and they put the barricades up 3 days later.
Mayor Leighton.
Relative to everything Ms. Summers said, we rely on professional inspections. Engineers have inspected the property, and that's how we make our decisions. As far as a fountain on the square, I cannot justify spending $200,000 to put a Band-Aid on a fountain that's antiquated, not functional, and the cost of doing it costs upwards of $300,000. It's your money that I spend, and I believe I spend it very wisely, and I'll continue to do that for the next 4 years.
Question for Ms. Coe. What are your plans for addressing drug crime in the city?
I think we need a stronger narcotics division, which I'm not sure if we even have one in the city of Wilkes-Barre. And what I would like to do is come up with a way to hire more police officers. And I think what we need is more patrolmen on the street rather than be top-heavy with management. And I think just police presence would deter crime and drugs in our city.
We've implemented special forces within the police department. The Viper Squad does a great job, and I'd like to acknowledge the job our police officers did yesterday up by the Hollenbeck Golf Course. That shows you the type of training. It shows you the type of training that the city has provided our police officials, and I'm very proud of that department, as I am with all of our city employees. Ms. Cope indicated that we're top-heavy in management in the police department. One question I would ask is, how many do we have in management?
Ms. Summers.
The crime in this city is a concern to all of us. And the drug crimes are heinous. I mean, what goes on our streets? We've all witnessed drug deals down on the next corner, at least in my neighborhood, and I'm sure there's most of you people do not live in the preferred neighborhood, so you see these things. So how do we fix it? Lower the wage tax, get working people into the city and fill our homes with working families.
Question for Ms. Summers. The city of Wilkes-Barre has 4 unions. How are you prepared to negotiate a fair contract for each of them?
I would negotiate a fair contract just like anybody else would negotiate a fair contract. Just because I'm a libertarian doesn't mean I can't negotiate. And, you know, the great thing about unions is that unions do exceptional work. So I'm all for looking at things and coming up with solutions. Now, it's very possible that, like all of us have had to do, we've had to give up a little bit in these trying economic times because we're all pinching pennies. And we might have to ask some of our unions to bear some of the same things that we are living with today. But working as a community, we want our city to be a better place. Let's work at this together. We can do it. We can do this, and if we have to ask them to give up a little bit, we've all given up a little bit.
Mayor Leighton, 30 seconds on negotiating with 4 unions.
It's obvious that Ms. Summers have never negotiated a union contract. You just don't ask her to do something. You have to deliver strong presentations. When I became the mayor, not one union worker in the city of Wilkes-Barre made a co-payment to health care. Now every city worker makes a co-payment to health care. And that was through very difficult negotiations with each of our unions. The unions respect us because we treat them fairly and will continue to treat them fairly. But I'm proud to say that we now have a co-pay with all of our city workers.
I myself have never been involved in union contracts, and I don't work for a union company, but I believe that should be made, mayor and city council and your human resource manager should all sit down and negotiate fair contracts.
Question for Ms. Cope, from a young man in the audience. Please do something for the children. I go to school at St. Paul's School. We play basketball all the time. Most of the parks, hoops are gone, and I need to practice. Thank you very much. The question is, more of a statement, but please take it as a question. What will you do for the children? I go to school at St. Paul's School. We play basketball all the time. Most of the parks, hoops are gone, and I need to practice. Thank you very much.
Yeah. I would look into the neighborhood up there, make sure there was room for a park, and I would put in basketball hoops for you and possibly a skate park for kids.
Mayor Leighton.
We have 18 parks throughout the city of Wilkes-Barre. Unfortunately, we cannot have them in every neighborhood. Just last October of 2010, a year ago, myself, along with over 250 volunteers in the community, put a playground together, a $250,000 playground in the Iron Triangle section of the city of Wilkes-Barre at no cost to the taxpayers. We won a competitive grant provided that we could put the playground together. We went out and we received the volunteers that we needed, and from 8 o'clock to 2:30 in the afternoon, at the end of the day, we had a beautiful $250,000 playground at no cost to the taxpayers.
Ms. Summers. People in the back would love if you got closer to the microphone so they could hear every word you said.
I'm surprised you haven't been able to hear me. I think the microphone's... Is that better?
That's fine.
Okay. You know, the mayor brought up a very good point, that it doesn't all have to be on the backs of the taxpayers. As a community, you know, we can get a lot done. We've been doing the vacant lot cleanups, and you wouldn't believe the kids came out, we were picking up garbage, we were cutting brush. So things like basketball hoops in neighborhoods can be done by the neighborhoods, by the community, earning the money, putting these things together to help in our neighborhoods.
Question for Mayor Leighton and all of the candidates. Can you tell me what lessons you took away from the recent high water event?
Watching the faces on the people that we told how to leave their homes at an early hour is something I'll never forget. Telling the people what they had to do, get out of their home on your own before you have to go out on a boat. The leadership of my administration, the leadership of the county and the state, the cooperation that we received from the federal government, the state government, the county government, along with city officials is something I'll never forget. We came together as a team to make sure that no life was lost, no personal property was lost. And as Betsy said, I thank her for sandbagging. Myself and my senior staff was down at the Market Street Bridge where the water was coming through that gate. To watch my staff get involved with putting sandbags while the water was coming through that gate is a scene that I'll never forget. When we saw how high the water was on the other side of the gate, we should never have been there. But we were only concerned with saving our town. And it's something that I'm sure our department heads and my city employees will do in the future.
Lisa Cope, 30 seconds.
Like I stated before, I believe that the flooding was handled in an appropriate manner, and it's wonderful that no lives were lost or any detrimental consequences came from it. The lessons from the flooding are to be prepared and pay attention to what's going on around you, and the residents need a responsibility also to pay attention and get out when needed.
Ms. Summers.
I think what I learned by the high water is that maintenance. These things need to be checked. Our floodgates, our runoff beds, everything needs to be checked all the time. We have to keep a checklist to make sure that all these things are in perfect working order so that we don't run into issues ever again.
Mayor Leighton.
As was indicated previously, that was our 5th flooding disaster since I became the mayor. We are well prepared. Everything is checked very often by our DPW workers, our engineers department, and other city employees. And that's why we had no serious issues this past flood incident.
Question for Ms. Coe, 90 seconds. What plans do you have to hire more police officers, and how will you finance it?
Well, right now, I don't have any access to how much money the city actually has, and I can't give you a guaranteed answer on that until I would have an answer to that, because anytime you go to the city, you do not get a direct answer from them, and they're probably giving you 30-day right to know. But I do believe there is money there to hire more police officers.
Ms. Summers.
Mrs. Coe has a very valid point. How do we know? Do you know, when you go in to get the budget for the city of Wilkes-Barre, you're told it's going to cost you 25 cents a page. Well, I'll tell you, I've got the budget of Wilkes-Barre before, and it's this thick. So if you don't have a lot of extra pocket change, you're not going to get the budget of Wilkes-Barre. It should be on the website. She has a valid point. How do we know? It's very difficult to find out anything from our city government.
Mayor Leighton.
When I took office, the city of Wilkes-Barre had no computerization. Our budget is on our website. You can view it for free. There is no fee. City government is more transparent now than it ever was, and that's something I'm very proud of. We provide information on a daily basis to whatever questions are asked. Some days it's longer than others. It depends on how many requests we get. But we've never hidden any facts that the public has asked.
Question for Mayor Leighton and all the candidates. Within your first 90 days in office, you may need to go to Wall Street. How will you convince them as to why they need to invest in the fiscal leadership of the city? Wall Street.
Third week in office, I had the opportunity, the luxury, or whatever you like to describe it, of going to Wall Street, meeting with the financial wizards on Wall Street, to tell them that we needed a bond rating. We're one of the 19 cities in the history of the bond market to default by the prior administration. As I indicated previously, no money in the bank, no credit, $10.8 million of unfunded debt out of a $33 million budget. I went to Wall Street with my team of financial advisors and my senior staff and made a financial presentation. When we made the financial presentation, we had a $750,000 gap. And I told them I would do what was necessary to fill that gap. And as I indicated previously, we now have the 5th highest credit rating in the state of Pennsylvania. That is something I'm very proud of. That was not easy to accomplish. You do not get that credit rating because of political reasons. It's based on numbers. We've made several presentations to representatives from Standards & Poor's who determine what your credit rating is. And they came away impressed. They were here in 2004, 2006, and 2009 to see the progress of the city. And they were taken back when they came into the city of Wilkes-Barre and saw all of the improvements. A vibrant downtown, a residential housing development up in the Miners Mills parcel section where new families are moving into the city.
Lisa Cope. Yes. Within the first 90 days in office, you may need to go to Wall Street. How will you convince them as to why they need to invest in your fiscal leadership?
First of all, I'm not even sure why I'm going to Wall Street, but I can definitely get the finance department involved and work out where I'm going.
Betsy Summers.
So, how do we sell our city? You know, how do we go and propose it? Well, I'm in sales. And I talk about these things every day. So, if we're starting out on a new foot with a new mayor, one where there's no more pay to play, one where we open up opportunities to entrepreneurs, to small businesses, things will change.
Work it in. Ms. Summers, what are your thoughts about the current city council member, Mrs. Kane, being able to run and be elected to controller and therefore audit her own work and that of city council, where she has been a member for the last 12 years or more?
I feel that this is a huge conflict of interest. How can you audit your own work? It's impossible. So, are we going to have to hire somebody to do our audits if she becomes controller? And basically, she has no financial background. Karen Seppa seems to be a very qualified candidate, and there is no conflict of interest, and that's who I'm going to vote for.
Lisa Cope.
I do agree with Betsy on that. I do believe Kathy Kane running for city controller is a conflict of interest, but she does have every right to do it because she's been in control of those books for so long. How can you get a fair audit?
I think it's obvious my two opponents do not know how government runs. There are independent audits conducted on every penny you spend, whether it's a general fund, whether it's a state grant, a federal grant, or a county grant. Everything is independently audited. Every penny is accounted for, and I'm proud of the accounting and the audits that this administration has received over the last 8 years. It shows that we do not spend money frivolously.
Question for Mayor Leighton. Mayor, you have been criticized for hiring relatives onto the city payroll. In a third term, would that practice persist? And what do the other candidates, what role do the other candidates intend to follow?
I will not in the future hire a family member of the city government, which is unfortunate for my children or my relatives' children. But right now, my opponents have filed an ethics complaint, so I have to recuse myself from saying anything else.
Lisa Cope.
I promise you on the platform of nepotism, I would not hire any of my family members. And Mayor Leighton did do this for 14 years in a row. And yes, he did. He broke the law and he broke the state ethics violation. And that's why he can't elaborate on it.
Ms. Cope, just 1 second. There is a follow-up on another card mentioning that your husband is a Wilkes-Barre City police officer, and it asked you, so we might as well get rid of it right now. It asked you, would you hire, promote, or in any way advance his career if you are elected mayor?
No, I will not promote my husband in any way.
Ms. Summers.
beginning of the summer, I started working with the Transition Committee on the Ethics Subcommittee for our county government. And what we need for the city of Wilkes-Barre, and one of my top 10 things, is that I would appoint a committee or gather a group of people together to write an accountability, conduct, and ethics code so that there is no question ever as to what is ethical behavior and what isn't.
Question for Betsy Summers. If elected mayor and sworn in January, what will be the general perception of your administration by the first day of spring? Let me reword that. What would you like the general perception to be? What do you hope to accomplish by the first day of spring is what I think the writer wanted.
Well, on the first day, I would have saved the city $10,000. I think that's a good thing. And then, by eliminating my pension, I will save future generations in the city of Wilkes-Barre from paying me. In the spring, there'll be flowers in the flower beds on the square. We will already have new businesses moving into the city. Our city council, I would like to see it televised, because a televised city council meeting, hopefully, would be a polite city council meeting. I would not allow city council members to be rude and abusive to the citizens of the city. Another thing that I would do is that, there's some things in our city charter that need to be fixed, like our council and the mayor being able to raise their pay and pensions without a vote. So, I would allow questions to be placed on the ballot so that without having to get the petition signatures, so that the people of this city can decide on how they want their city run.
Mayor Leighton, get sworn in January.
Beginning of Betsy's answer, it sounds like she wants to be called downtown Betsy. I will continue to run an efficient government as I did back in 2004. You put the right people in the right spots, and good things will happen. And it shows, again, we started in the downtown, and we've gone to the neighborhoods. We've done a tremendous amount of work, and we'll continue to do that. But again, it takes hard, dedicated workers, and that's what I have currently in my administration.
This will be the last call for questions, so if you have additional thoughts that you'd like to write down and get to the people in the aisles, please do.
What I'd like to see when I first thing I'd like to do when I get in office is hire all the right people to work under me and with me. The first thing I would like to do in January is to make sure I have all the right people working with me, not against me. And I would like to open up the city charter and review it and make any amendments and changes where necessary.
Question for Lisa Coe. Being elected, and I'll try and reword this one, being elected to a leadership position, mayor of the city of Wilkes-Barre, you would need to work with elected officials across party lines. Can you tell us if you have spoken with any current elected officials, either Democrats or Republicans, in the city, state, or federal government about your plans? Who and what did you talk about?
No, I haven't spoken to anyone, but everyone that's helping me in my campaign are all multiple party lines, and I'm getting a ton of support from the and residents from all different parties, and my support staff is wonderful.
Mayor Leighton.
Yes, I've been in constant contact. In fact, I received a phone call from Congressman Barletta's office today relative to a letter I sent for a request. I'm in constant contact with Governor Corbett's office, as I had with Governor Riddell's office, along with Senator Udijak and State Representative Eddie Dave Pashinsky and Senators Casey and Toomey. We have a great working relationship. They know the needs of the city, and they're doing everything they can to help us, especially with the Hotel Sterling and some other flooding issue with FEMA and PEMA. We have a great working relationship, and I look forward to continuing that over the next 4 years.
Well, I haven't spoken to any of them recently, but I do know Governor Corbett, I do know Jack Wagner, I do know Mr. Barletta, I do know Mr. Pashinsky. I have no problem going to these people and talking to them and asking for their help if it's needed.
Question for Betsy Summers. Cole Street Park was once dedicated by a U.S. president to everyone's recreational pursuits. As Wilkes-Barre City continues to work on the park, I note that the majority of the renovations, financially speaking, were the renovations of the ice rink and the addition to office space. How will you ensure that the contracts and private partnerships in our city parks serve the city residents and all their recreational interests? If you can see that handwriting, you'll know that I did a good job of reading that.
This actually is a very important question because right now, you know, it was Cole Street Park. Now it's Cole Street Complex. It's a beautiful facility there. But we learned when we were at our district meeting that there's a board of people who are running it, which we haven't found out who they are yet. But our children can't afford to skate there. There isn't enough hours for them to go and use this facility that is in their park. You know, we used to have a pool there, and the maintenance was never kept up, and it ended up going down the tubes. We had the ice skating rink. My daughter, right there, she swam at that pool. She skated on that ice. So, what has happened to our park? It's now a business, not a facility for our children. We need to take a look at that. It's all the money that is being made at that complex is being reinvested into it. But let's make time for our children, the children of Wilkes-Barre.
Lisa Cook.
Yes, the Cole Street Project complex is a very nice place, but I will agree that I've been in meetings up there where it's been brought up that we need to find out who exactly is ruining it, and the kids can't afford to skate there, and the basketball courts, you can't even get on them because at night people are just hanging out on them.
Mayor Leighton.
Cole Street Rec Complex was something that was a headache of mine back in 2004. Slum, blight, vandalism, drug, crime. We went out and got grant money to build that facility, a beautiful facility with 2 anchor tenants that brought jobs in the city of Wilkes-Barre. There is a free skate time, however, there's rental time also. That's so the taxpayers, the people here in the audience, do not have to pay for that Cole Street complex. The pool went into rooms, as did the former Ice-O-Rama, because the city was footing the bill, and look what happened. We are now running it as a business, but there is, and I emphasize is, free skate time for children.
Question for Lisa Cope. Running a city is like running a business. What financial experience do you have?
I have 19 years of business experience in management on board revenue of over $20 million in sales and returns, and I'm held to a high financial responsibility to make sure that the bills are paid, times are all checked, and everything is done in a timely manner. And if I don't do my job correctly, I'll be fired.
As a salesperson, I make straight commission. So, financial business experience, I have to plan my day. I have to plan every hour of my day and make it productive. So, like I said before, the city needs to be run like a business, and we'll run it like a business.
Question for Mayor Leighton. Why don't you enforce the towing contract with lag towing?
The contract is enforced as per written.
Come on. Go ahead, Mayor. 90 seconds.
I just don't.
Betsy, do you have a 30-second comment? This mayor's response, I believe, was that it isn't.
I've read the contract with lag towing, and in that contract it states that Leo Glogic is supposed to supply the city every 30 days with complete records of all tows. Now, the person who filed the right to know for that information was told that Leo Glogic had never submitted these things. So, this has been going on for years, month after month after month. The contract has not been upheld.
Lisa Cook.
I also have read in the paper and seen numerous articles about the towing contract.
Closer to the mic.
I've seen the articles in the newspaper that my opponents are talking about, and know that Leo is not following the towing contract to its fullest potential, and it's a breach of contract, and he should be removed as a city tower.
At the request of the police department, any and all reports should be submitted to the police department in a timely manner. The police department has their own reports, similar to what Mr. Glogic would have to prepare and send to the police department. There is a request for these reports, and it's being compiled by the police department and will be provided to the individual that requested it. They are on file, 8 years of them, at the police department currently.
Question for Lisa. Also the mayor and Betsy. I live on Blackman Street. I have never asked for anything, and for 56 years. I have a school sign on my curb. There are cigarette butts, leaves on my property, and it has no trees, but I go out and clean them up. The school sign is going to fall down on a car or truck and kill somebody. We sit in our home, and when the big trucks go by, they rattle the sign, and she's obviously afraid that it will fall. We can't even listen to it. I would like for someone to come up and inspect that sign. Lisa, you're not mayor yet, but if you were, how would you answer that?
That complaint came into me. I would get with DPW and make sure the sign are fixed. And I know just from running my campaign, going door to door, that there are a lot of signs in the city that are non-existent, and the ones that are pretty deplorable, and I just believe they just need to be repaired and fixed.
Mayor Leighton, 30 seconds.
If it's reported to the mayor's office from DPW tomorrow, it'll be fixed. We get complaints like this all the time. In fact, the city purchased a sign-making machine. We're trying to replace every street sign, every one-way sign that needs to be replaced, and every stop sign that needs to be replaced in a timely manner. I believe we have over 685 streets in the city of Wilkes-Barre, which means we have a lot of signs that have to be replaced. It didn't happen overnight. It will not be replaced overnight, but our goal is to get all the signs replaced shortly.
Ms. Summers.
I'm available tomorrow morning. I'll get out my hammer drill and make sure the battery's charged.
Question for Betsy Summers, and this may be our final one. And it goes to each of the candidates who have done an outstanding job tonight. What are your plans for the city once you take office? Please provide details of your plans and your vision for the city's future, and what are your keys to victory on November 8th?
Well, all of you have that blue paper in front of you. Those are my plans. That's my top 10. That's where I'm going to start. And you know what? It's not set in stone. I'm ready to listen to the people of Wilkes-Barre. I've been listening for years. You know, people come up to me on the street and say, gee, I'm having this problem. Who do I go talk to? And I've said to them, get your friends and go out and vote. And then when I'm in City Hall, you can come and talk to me, and we'll find a solution for these problems. We can do it together. We can solve these issues. Let's work together. Now, so what is my plan? Well, I'm going to be out there and talking to all of you, knocking on your doors for these last couple of weeks. Please come to me. My phone number's on that paper. Please look at voteforbetsy.com or go to my Facebook page. You can contact me 24 hours a day. My phone's always on unless I'm in a veterinary clinic. So I'm available.
Exercising the moderator's prerogative, I'm going to give Lisa and the mayor both 90 seconds to answer this question as well. Ms. Coe, what are your plans for the city once you take office? Please provide details on your plans and your vision for the city's future. And what are your keys to victory on November 8th?
My biggest plan for the city of Wilkes-Barre is to run an open and honest government. Is to sit down and listen to the residents and be there for them and listen to what the problems are and take care of them then. The way you can visit my website also, Vote for Mayor, or reach me on Facebook. There's a lot more information out there. And my goal for the city is to move it forward. And the way I'm going to achieve that is, of course, by getting the most votes.
Mayor Leighton, 90 seconds.
Continue our fight on absentee landlords. As they indicated, we need to use our county court system to implement the new laws that will take place in the state of Pennsylvania. We're also going to implement single-stream recycling. We're one of the first communities in the state of Pennsylvania that will allow you to put all of your recyclables out at once. Your cardboard, your newspaper, your aluminum, your plastics, all will be picked up at once now. That's a single-stream recycling. I'd like to see the Cole Street Road project be completed, along with maintaining the workforce in the downtown and throughout the city of Wilkes-Barre. These are people that come into our city and work Monday through Friday and support the business in the city of Wilkes-Barre, which allows us to keep the property taxes down. You have my commitment that transparency will stay. I'll be fiscally responsible and continue to do the job that myself and my administration has done over the last 8 years.
That concludes the questioning part of tonight's forum. I want to thank everybody in the audience for being so wonderful. This was a great crowd. You all behaved wonderfully in allowing the candidates to make their statements and say their piece. It is now time for closing comments. Mayor Leighton was third in the opening. He will be first with the closing. Mayor Leighton.
Once again, I'd like to thank Wilkes University and the Times Leader team for allowing us to have this forum tonight. The people of Wilkes-Barre have 3 candidates to vote for on election day, but only one choice. A choice between leadership and experience versus indecision and inexperience. Leadership is about more than grand but empty promises that achieve nothing. Leadership is about setting a bold vision and rallying those around you in a common cause to make it a reality. I have not simply set goals, but I have delivered results. The people of Wilkes-Barre can see and touch my record of accomplishment. You pass through it and you see a movie on a Friday night. When a Wilkes or King student buys their books for the next term. When a parent pushes their child on the swings at the Iron Triangle playground. or when a new family moves into the Courtright and Pine Ridge housing developments. The people of Wilkes-Barre can see what I will achieve in 4 years because I presented my agenda for the future. I have set ambitious agendas before, and I've accomplished them before. I heard tonight from my opponents on a bold plan, but an agenda short of vision and lacking funding. More than anything, the recent historic flood event should remind all of us of high stakes of public service. People's livelihoods, their homes, and even their personal welfare often hinge on a quick and correct decision by the mayor. On-the-job training can be costly. We need to maintain proven leadership in the mayor's office. You do not need to change mayors to find someone willing to lead. You do not need to change leaders to find someone who will fight for the common benefit of all the people. I'd like to ask every voter to take an honest look at Wilkes-Barre today and ask yourself, is the city better off now than it was 8 years ago? We still have a long way to go on the road to recovery. Now is not the time to turn around. What took 7.5 years to build could easily unravel in a matter of months. Look at the scope of my accomplishments over the last 8 years, not the isolated headlines. I know that I'm the best choice to continue to lead this city, and I humbly ask for your vote on November 8th. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Ms. Leighton.
Well, it's obvious to see it. This is just a pep rally for the mayor. See, Mr. Leighton, you're not the only one who has supporters out there. But I would like to thank Kevin Blum.
Please.
I would like to thank Kevin Blum and the Times Leader of Wilkes University once again for holding this forum, and thank you to everyone here who came out tonight.
Ms. Betsy Summers.
So why Betsy? Well, I served for 2 years on the Home Rule Study Commission without pay. I've been involved in study government workings from the city, county, state, and federal levels. I've been a community activist, volunteering countless hours over the years, attempting to make our city a better place, and I've been a voice for those who have little influence. As your independent candidate, I am not tied to party politics. My duty will be to you, the people of this city. If given the opportunity, I promise you a new tone, one where all opinions and ideas will be welcome. Our city workers will know my door will always be open, and I will seek out their advice on how to make for a more efficient work environment, for they can play a part in creating a brighter future for Wilkes-Barre. If you want to see a real change, if you want to see once and for all the corruption, nepotism, and cronyism end, then that opportunity comes on November 8th. If you want to once and for all do away with the good old boy system that benefits the connected and has robbed our community of jobs and opportunities, it comes on November 8th. Join me in changing the way this city is governed for the benefit of all, not just the few. The experts said this forum would never happen, and some say we are doomed forever in northeastern Pennsylvania to a system run by the privileged for the privileged. I say no more. I even more humbly ask for your vote on November 8th. Thank you.
Once again, let me thank Wilkes University, the Times Leader, each and every one of you for coming out and showing your interest in the future of our great city. And especially to these candidates who are willing to be here tonight, to put their names on the ballots and have the courage to run. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for our candidates.